Hey guys, Ritu this side. Today I'm going to talk about buying car at Canada. So there are a few things when you buy cars here. Few perceptions. First, as soon as you land in Canada, either as a student or with a work permit or as a new permanent resident, go for a used car, which would cost you somewhere between $3,000 to $7,000 depending on the car brand, the body style, and the make of the car. Also, there's another thing which says go for one particular type of vehicle. So generally the perception here is go for a bigger SUV, which would be safer during the winters. The thing is, I've come across some videos wherein people are like, go for a second-hand car, go for SUV. That's how you start your journey. But that's not the truth. Again, I'm here to bust the myth about buying cars at Canada. To give you an overview, or maybe to answer those questions of those people, those who think that I might be a loser who is talking about buying cars. So towards the end of the video, I've shown the pictures of what cars I've bought ever since I've come to Canada. And just to make sure that no one thinks that I'm clicking the pictures at some car store or at a dealership. So I've also included pictures of myself with the sales representative and the exact vehicle which I bought. I started my journey with the 2017 Nissan Sentra, which I bought in year 2017. I traded that vehicle in for 2018 Nissan Pathfinder. And after Nissan Pathfinder was bought in 2018, I had a need of other vehicle. Then I bought a Mini Cooper S in 2019. That was 2019. All these vehicles were brand new. After buying the Mini Cooper, keeping it for 1+ year, then slowly what I started feeling was that okay, now my need is fulfilled, my wants are coming into play, and I wanted to move to luxury brands. So I got rid of my Nissan Pathfinder, I switched to Lincoln, and when I got rid of the Mini Cooper, I bought a Range Rover. All the pictures would be available at the end of the video. Now let's start. What should we buy, how should we buy, and what exactly it takes to deal with a car dealer. So in Canada, the concept is pretty straightforward. There are three types of deal. You either buy the car on cash, you deal with the dealer for financing. That financing can be arranged by yourself or by the dealer. If you are doing it through the dealer will get it done through the car company. For example, if you're buying a Nissan, they go through Nissan Canada Finance. If you're buying a Toyota Canada Finance, or Honda Canada Finance for that matter of fact. Third, if you're planning to keep the car for a certain number of years and don't plan to drive much, there's another option called as leasing. There are few differences between leasing and finance. The first and foremost is, in leasing you don't own the vehicle. The ownership of the vehicle stays with the company, which is also called a lessor. In a lease, the person who's getting the vehicle, like if I were to lease a vehicle, I would be called a lessee. The company who's giving me the vehicle would be called as a lessor. Again, the mechanics behind the numbers would work the same. Who is arranging the money and from where? For example, lease can be arranged by the dealer through the company financial. Again, example, Nissan Canada, Toyota Canada, and Honda Canada, or through a bank, or you can also arrange as an individual. Now, given that I've covered all these three sources of financing or funding your vehicle, what you should buy. So Canada has pretty harsh winters. There is snow. People say buy a bigger vehicle, buy an SUV, you'll be good. But I have a different opinion. Buy whatever you want, but have winter tires installed on the vehicle. It's not the engine power, it's the vehicle traction which is going to help you in moving through the snow or ice. So what exactly is winter tire? Normal tire, but it's made of a different compound. So there's certain additives which is added to rubber to help the tire remain soft when the temperature goes down. The regulation in Canada, it varies from province to province, and generally the rule of the thumb is as soon as the temperature goes below 7 degrees Celsius, you need to switch to winter tires. Province of Quebec has made mandatory switch to winter tires. There are a few categories when it comes to winter tires. One is studded, other is studless. Studded is where you have some small metal spikes which are built into the tire, and they come in contact with the surface of the road and help you maneuver when it's icy or snowy. Studless, that's the most common used type of winter tire. At Ontario, that's a province where I belong to, we cannot put studded tires on the vehicles and use them on Ontario roads. It's illegal. So the province which I'm aware of which allows use of studded tires is British Columbia as well as Alberta. Switch to winter tires is a must. You buy new, you buy used, but please switch to winter tires. That helps you in traction, maintaining and keeping control of the vehicle when it's winters, slippery, be that snowy or icy. Especially during black ice, you have to be very careful. Your normal all weather, or I should say all season tires, which has M+S, that's mud and snow, they won't do any good. You put all season tires on a 4x4 and drive it on a snow packed road, or you put your winter tires on a compact hatch, you would definitely feel the difference that the hatch is under better control because of the traction and the grip of the tire on the road. Now, moving on to the next thing, buying new versus used. The common perception is you come to Canada, buy an old or used car, and you just keep it for a few years, then you switch to the new one. But is it really worth? Buying a used car, sometimes people get ripped. They get ripped in few ways. First, the sellers of those cars, they don't tell the whole story. If the car was involved in an accident, even though they give you a safety certificate when you're buying a used car, you can't determine if the car was in an accident unless you take the car to a certified mechanic who is able to check. The car garage should be able to tell you if the car was damaged or if it was ever in an accident. But the thing is it really worth to spend $5,000 to $7,000 on a used sedan which is 10 or 15 years old and has 50 to even 100,000 kilometers on the odometer? No, it's not worth. As soon as you drive it off the lot, maybe you'd get a warranty for a month or 3 months if you're buying it from the dealer. If you're buying it from a car showroom which they have as a pre-owned or certified used cars, they might give you some additional warranty based on like 6 months to 1 year. It all depends on manufacturer to manufacturer. But when it comes to buying cars outside the dealers, which is like buying it from some individual, you're not gonna get any warranty. And the moment something happens with the vehicle, you are in a soup. All these used vehicles, even though I'm driving a vehicle now and it would be termed as used if I were to sell it to anyone. But the thing is, if you're buying a 15-year-old or 10-year-old vehicle, it won't have much left in it. When I'm talking about won't have much left in it, your suspension would be it would be due for replacement. Your engine might need work sometime sooner. All your brake rotors, they would need a replacement, if not service. Now then it comes to transmission. cars in Canada, mostly they are automatic transmission. And automatic transmission after 10 or 15 years, it cannot help you with driving the vehicle, keeping itself in D. You'll have to move to a lower gear because automatic transmission loses its power after a certain period of time, which is 10 plus years. There have been cases wherein people bought the used car, they drove it for a few months, and then the troubles start happening. When the troubles starts to happen, the vehicle doesn't spend much time with you. It spends most of the time at a garage. It would be mechanical, electronic, combination of both the problems. There might be some system failures, and during this harsh winter of Canada, you don't want to imagine yourself being stuck on the road in a frigid car which doesn't have any power or it cannot move. Car is something which is the second most expensive purchase which anyone makes after buying a house in Canada. So what I can suggest you is, if you are in the market to buy a car, don't buy a used vehicle. A very old vehicle should be off the list. Buy a new, smaller vehicle. Now I'm going to use some examples of what exact cars you can buy. Again, what I always tell during my videos is I do not endorse any brand. Instead of buying a Nissan Rogue, a used one, you can go for a Nissan Micra. Smaller vehicle, carrying capacity of 5, better than a used Nissan Rogue. Or even you can go for a Qashqai. That's one. Another, instead of buying a brand new Accord, go for maybe a used Accord, go for a Civic, a new one. If you are unable to get your EXL or even the touring version, go for a bit lower one. At least you will be covered with the brand warranty, and you know that if anything happens, you are covered. Also, you have the peace of mind that nothing is going to happen for the initial first few years. The tendency of people is generally buy a Corolla or a Civic or even Mazda 3. I understand these Japanese brands, they are reliable, but at the same time, do look for other brands too. There are other options which are cheap, which might suit your pocket. Also, when structuring the deal, do not let the sales representative or the dealership drive the deal. It should be you. Test drive the vehicle. If you like it, then go for it. Talk to the dealer. Talk about the numbers because they always have a margin. Whoever says they cannot provide you any deal, look for another dealership. The market is so competitive, you will always get a deal. If you are unable to get a deal, feel free to get in touch with me. I will help you with your negotiation process with the dealership. Now, the next question which is most commonly asked is, I will buy a vehicle for $2,000 or $3,000. I will get a home mortgage and then I will buy a new vehicle. Now, this is a cross question to the people, those who are saying so. Do you see yourself or your family driving around the city or town or on the highways in a vehicle which is unreliable? You might get something for $2,000, but you know what you are paid is what you're gonna get. You would be ending to spend more money on getting the vehicle towed, having it repaired at garage. Also, they say, hey, my insurance wouldn't be so high. Even if it's high, I will just try to practice as much as using this old vehicle and then I would go for the new one. Good for you. Try doing that. Your insurance is gonna stay the same irrespective if you're gonna buy a used one or an old one, because it depends on the area where you live. Yes, it would also depend on the vehicle. If it's a $50,000 vehicle or a $200,000 vehicle. It would differ. For buying a $2,000 vehicle, insurance companies are not gonna let you get off the hook by if you hit anyone or if your vehicle needs a replacement. They're not gonna get you a new vehicle. So leave that mindset. Don't think that you'll get a free vehicle from the insurance companies, which is another mindset which I come across. It sounds funny, but yes, it is true. People do think we'll get a vehicle for $2,000 or $3,000 and we'll get into an accident, we will have the vehicle total, and the insurance company is going to give us some money and we'll buy a new vehicle. It never works like that. You don't want to risk your life for a stupid car. There have been cases wherein people have been involved in an unfortunate accident and have ended up with a disability. It's sad to hear those stories, but still people think that we should buy an old vehicle which is worth $2,000. It would serve a purpose. It will drive us from point A to point B. You are not just a danger for yourself, you are a danger for everyone on the road. What I've also come across is people, they tend to play cheap. When I say playing cheap, they wouldn't change the tires on the vehicle. They wouldn't have their batteries replaced on time. They wouldn't have the services performed on time. Guys, vehicle is something which you should treat like a kid. Is that how you treat your family? No. Give it care because it takes you to places. It's the most important part of your safety because you're at such high speeds on the highways. You don't want to risk your life for anything so silly which costs like a couple of $100. And even if people are gonna say a set of new winter tires would cost me $1,000, that $1,000 is worth it. If you can't afford a new set, go for an old one, but always keep in mind that there's a lifespan of tire. Anything over and above 4 years old is useless. Even if you have stored it, even if you're buying it from a dealer, a tire merchant who is providing you these tires which are old, do not buy them. Even if it's 50% discount, do not buy anything over and above 4 years old. Now, before I wrap up, I'll share an example of something which has happened to me last week. It was about someone looking to buy a car. The person, I'm not going to take the name of the person. So the person went into a car store and he even went ahead and let the salesperson drive the car deal. So this purchase deal, how it was structured was, it was there for a 3 years old Volkswagen Jetta which had 55,000 kilometers on the odometer, and the person was quoted in terms of the total vehicle value $25,700. That's for Volkswagen Jetta Comfort Line. The person is close to me, so he spoke to me that this has happened and this is what I'm going to buy. It's a used vehicle. I questioned him, okay, so what have you looked at? All the answers came out to be like, he has been fooled by the dealership. I went along with him to the dealership, and what we did was, I spoke to the car sales rep and we came across the deal as, fraud. And the reason why I'm calling it as fraud is the person is on a student visa who would be getting his work permit in a month or so. The car dealership is saying, we can only let you lease the vehicle or we can only finance the deal for as long as your visa is valid in Canada. For all those who are thinking what that means is, if you're a new student to Canada, you want to buy a car, let's say your student visa is there for 1 year, no one is gonna be able to pay the whole amount of the vehicle in 1 year. So the dealerships, they are using this excuse: let's get you financed through bank, and we will have you financed at a high rate of 7 to 8%. That's ridiculous. You'll have your work permit, which would be there for at least 2 to 3 years. So your total valid stay in Canada would be 1 plus 2 to 3, which is equal to like 3 to 4 years. So don't get fooled around when people are saying, or the car salesperson are saying, no, 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 this is what we can do, and this is how it's going to look like when you, being an international student, are going to buy a vehicle. Now, going back to the same example wherein I went to the Volkswagen dealership, we worked around the numbers, and the person ended up buying a Volkswagen Jetta Comfortline, a brand new one. Just imagine what would be the amount. The only difference was $500. He ended up paying $500 more, and he is now driving a new Volkswagen Jetta Comfortline. I did ask him why Volkswagen, because Volkswagen is generally associated with high maintenance cost. The answer which I got, it did stun me. He said that he wanted to drive with Uber and Lyft, and Volkswagen Jetta, it comes into the premium segment, which I wasn't aware of, and he wants to use a used car because that would be driven more and it would depreciate less because it has already taken the hit of initial depreciation. That's true, but what's going to happen if you're going to drive Uber? The car would be used more, would be going for services more, would be prone to more defects, or would be more prone to risking you and others on the road. So what would happen in this case is, now that the person is driving a new vehicle, he is going to rest assured for a few years, for during the entire term of his vehicle ownership, that okay, if anything happens, he is covered when it comes to the warranty claims for the vehicle. Also, make sure that you make few things pretty clear, because there was a recent scam which was uncovered by a few people, those who were buying Volkswagens. Volkswagen says they have a good after sales support, which is like 24/7 customer care. That is shitty. Do not trust them. All they offer is, if you have a flat tire, you bring the vehicle to the nearest Volkswagen dealership, we will help you get it fixed and get you back on the road on time. Nothing more, nothing less than that. That's not what customer support should be there for. If anything goes wrong with the vehicle, you should be able to get the vehicle towed at least to your nearest dealership and have it repaired. In this example which I'm sharing with you, this did happen to one of my close ones. The vehicle was a new one, and the person bought the vehicle from Ontario, was at Quebec, and it happened at midnight. The customer support team only said, okay, have the vehicle brought to us and we will have a look at it. The exact problem was that the engine light and the dashboard, it came on. What that meant was there was an error on the driver infotainment display which said low engine oil. Driving the vehicle with a low engine oil, it's a big no-no. You're gonna have serious issues with the engine. You don't know how low the engine oil level is. If it's dry, you'll end up burning the whole engine. So what exactly happened was, the person did call Volkswagen customer support, did not get any support from them, so he had to sleep in the car that night, and next morning he arranged a tow all by himself at Quebec, got it towed to the nearest garage, had the engine oil refilled, got back on the road. So make sure you ask all the right questions. Now, in order to summarize this video, few takeaways from my side. Have winter tires installed on your car or truck, whatever you're driving. If you're buying your vehicle for the first time in Canada, try to buy a new vehicle. Do not go for showing off that you have a bigger vehicle that you want to click pictures and send back home. Go for a smaller vehicle but buy a new one. Do not let the dealership sales rep drive the deal. It should be you who should be in charge of that. Make sure you ask all the right questions. There is definitely a margin with every single car what a dealer can share. Till the time you push them or rub them where it hurts, they're not going to share it with you. Last but not the least, still can't figure out what to do? Get in touch with me, I'll help. Again, it's free of cost. I don't have any tie-up with anyone. I'm here to burst the myths around buying cars at Canada. Do not buy an SUV to show off. Buy a hatchback which is more practical for you, which would suit your pocket, which would suit your budget. Till then, look around. Do not buy anything without test driving the vehicle. Look for the true cost of ownership, guys. It's not just the purchase price but also the gas price, what you're gonna spend on gas. If you're buying a bigger vehicle, it's gonna consume more gas, but at the same time it also comes to play what's the gas price. So not all bigger vehicles consume more. I'm not against bigger vehicles, but buy what suits your pocket. Check for the insurance price in your area. Get quotes from different companies. There are a few insurance providers, those who provide competitive rates. And when it comes to the true cost of ownership, to include the maintenance cost too, which is a big expense when it comes to used cars. In a nutshell, what I can say is buy a new one. If you want to buy a used one, if that's what your circumstances are, go for a certified or pre-owned vehicle from the dealership, from a company dealership. And also when it comes to maintaining the vehicle, maintain it properly and stay safe on the roads. That's all I can say. So with that, I would wrap up this video, and stay safe. Feel free to ask any questions. Comments are most welcome. You like the content, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned, stay safe, have a good night.